All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the New Breed Show, the world's best metal conversation, talking about everything brutal, new, death, hard, slam, grind, thrash, core metal. I am one half of your hosting duo, Jay Horsecow. I am quite tuned up. With me, I have my partner in crime, the notorious TIM, Tim Anderson Jr. Tim, how are you going?
Great. I just want to know how you remember that whole death slam thing, because that would kill me every time.
Because I'm cheating, and there's a post-it right under the camera, so when it looks like I'm looking at the camera, I'm actually reading off of what amounts to a teleprompter. But I shouldn't tell that, people. It's Hollywood tricks. And with us again, we have a special guest, bassist extraordinaire, Mitchell Fletcher. Mitchell, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me again.
We are overjoyed to have you. So Mitchell threw this album out to us. It's actually one of my favorites. We haven't done a deep dive in a while, so we're going to do a deep dive. And this is what I think one of the most amazing new metal debuts ever. This is 1997 S.C.I.E.N.C.E by the band Incubus. So Tim, give us some homework.
All right. Released September 9th, 1997 through Epic and Immortal. Produced by Jim Wirt, who I fucking know that name, but I forget what else he's done. A lot of shit he's done. This was the second record. It was the one after, what was that? Fungus Among Us, right?
Among Us.
Yep.
Yeah. I could have swore too. Now I'm thinking about it. Didn't they have two records before the Fungus Among Us record?
They had
it was like an EP, right, Mitchell?
Yeah, Enjoy This, but it came out after Fungus Among Us.
Are you sure?
They got like signed to a major label, so they put out like I think it's called Enjoy This. Or,
I think it's Enjoy Incubus.
Yeah,
Enjoy
that.
Incubus.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
To put in between, to like as like a little teaser before S.C.I.E.N.C.E.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I knew they had something else. I just couldn't remember what it was. But I was sitting here. I'm also thinking too, like, who the fuck is that guy on the album cover?
That's his dad.
Oh,
That's
it?
that's in my notes.
That's awesome.
His dad was the Marlboro. I'm not. I don't
Marlboro
smoke
Man.
cigarettes, whatever. But he was, that guy in the '60s.
Oh,
That's
okay,
wild.
okay.
So that's his dad.
Okay. I was
That's
also
awesome.
surprised to see that this was mixed by Terry Date.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then when I listen to it, I'm like, yeah, the production's pretty good. And then you had Earl Ulrich Wild did the engineering.
Okay. He touched over everything in the 90s.
Dude, pretty much, man. Also, that Fungus record got them a 7-record deal with Sony.
Which is kind of nuts if you
'Cause
think
it
about
sucks.
it, right? Yeah, right. Like, can you imagine?
It's terrible.
Same label for 7. If you put out an album every other year, like most bands do, that's 14 years.
Yeah.
Oh,
Crazy, right, dude? So this is the only record with the DJ Life, Lyfe. And also what is crazy to me is the record has only been certified gold. That's it.
that's kind of nuts,
Yeah.
right?
You
That's
would
kind of
think-
nuts.
You
There's
would
a
think
lot of-
after the catalog after this, you would think they would go back and
People
buy
would go
that
back.
record. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's crazy.
I don't know, because when they got like, to me, when they got big off of what was it, Morning View,
Yeah.
they drew in a crowd of people that don't really give a fuck about music and only really like radio rock, and that's
True.
like kind of where they were. So they probably, if they did go back, they probably did. Imagine going back to Fungus Among Us and just you'd be like,
What
nah,
the
I'm
fuck is
good.
this?
I mean, even Science, if you're not into
Yeah.
heavier or like weirder stuff like Primus or Faith No More, and you're not aware of that type of stuff, you'd probably think Signs was awful too. If you
That's
joined in
true.
on Morning View.
Yes, the Morning View, to me, Mitchell, they become a Coachella band.
Oh yeah.
Whereas Science, I mean, Fungus Among Us, the early stuff. I mean, I think this album, as far as all the new metal debuts go, this is the rare example of perfectly blending multiple genres, multiple instruments in a way that sounds cohesive and is still really fun to listen to.
Yeah, it's a
Right, like,
wacky record that somehow
Wacky
works.
is the best album. Yeah, it's the best adjective to describe it. Wacky. What else you got, Tim?
I'm going to try and say this word because we all know if you listen to this podcast, you know I'm terrible at this. So science stands for sailing catamarans is every nautical captain's ecstasy. What the
Don't
fuck?
worry, Tim. I had to look that word up when I was researching.
What is that?
It's a boat.
Catamaran is a twin hull boat. It's the two boats with the canvas in the middle. You see it in like Jamaica and shit. People sunbathe on it topless.
Fucking course Jay would know this.
Of course, I read too much. Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me when you say you tried out for Jeopardy.
By the way, speaking of DJ Life, I think this episode comes out before Jeopardy 3. There is an entire category of DJs, and DJ Life has the rather dubious distinction of when he was kicked out of the band, he was informed. You guys ever heard this story? He was told before a live gig that he would be kicked out of the band. So at the end of the gig, he sets the phaser all the way up and spun a record and just walked off. And it literally was the equivalent of like you being in the audience and just saying wee wee like nonstop at full volume. Yeah, that's how he. That was his last performance.
I feel like that's how they do it in that tier of showbiz, because that's what happened with the Foo Fighters when before they had Taylor Hawkins, they had the drummer of Sunny Day Real Estate.
Yeah.
And Dave re-recorded all the drums and I guess didn't say anything, and then told him right before they were going on stage. So the dude started playing, got up and threw his drumsticks and was off.
Let's go the weird aside, Mitchell. What do you think of the Foo Fighters?
I was going to say when you were saying like their Coachella Fest music, Incubus and Foo Fighters are the same to me, where Foo Fighters has a really solid debut album, and then the second one's pretty good, and then they just turn into the same song.
Yep.
Like every song that gets played on the radio, I'm just like, I know it's them. I just don't know the song because it just always sounds the same to me. Like it's just like, that's just when I hear him.
You gotta appreciate Dave Grohl though. He's a very talented dude.
He loves music. He loves. I mean, that Sound City documentary sold me on Dave Grohl because he's so geeked about music. Like you can't help but be affected by that. You're absolutely right, Mitchell, because the first S.C.I.E.N.C.E is great. Make Yourself is amazing. Like Make Yourself blew them the fuck up. Morning View had some moments. Everything after that, I couldn't name one song except for the title track off of Crow Left to Murder is a great rock and roll song. Yeah, and the drum
that's a record, right? The red one.
That's the album. But
there's some good songs gems on that record.
Yeah.
Real quick to Dave Grohl though, right back how you guys said I love him, but I love him with everything but Foo Fighters. Like when he does drumming with Queens of the Stone Age, when he does shit with 9 Inch Nails, I think that's when you really see what he wants to do, when he's like doing shit like that. Sorry, I just
No, you're right. Them Queens of the Stone Age records are, I fucking love that band.
They're one of my favorite bands.
Yeah. I go back to Mitchell. Have you seen that documentary? What is it? Desert City Sound or whatever? Mm-hmm. I love Caius. I thought Circus Leaves Town was a fucking amazing album. I liked everything John Garcia has done. I thought Slow Burn was great. I was crushed when I saw Ozfest and they didn't play. But yeah, that sound, that like fuzzed out Fu Manchu fucking stoner stuff is awesome.
I also think Josh is an incredible musician. But the whole story behind that whole scene, like the Caius and the desert scene, is pretty interesting. And the fact, like, I think it's cool that he's friends with all these people that he just has come over to his studio out in the desert, and they just do drugs and write music records that gets put out as like a mixtape, and it's all really bizarre. But there's like a lot of really good things in there. And then I like it because they're like an R&B type band, like an old school R&B band, where like they take the songs they recorded, when they play them live, they change them up. So they like did stuff. Do you guys know who Jules something from Europe? He has got a TV show, or he used to, where it's just bands would come in. It would be like 5 different bands on a stage, and they would play couple songs, but one song each, and it would, just Jules Highland, that's what it is. Anyway, they did that, and they brought out PJ Harvey. And if you ever wanted to hear, I don't know if you guys are fans of PJ Harvey, but they do a lot of songs with her on there, and it's just they slow them down, they change them up. It's fucking awesome.
That, Mitchell, I think is the true testament of a great band, right? Not just an artist, but a band where you can record a song and then play it live in a totally different arrangement and still fucking kill it. Like that to me is a bunch of great musicians.
We're
When you can
losing that.
totally change the arrangement and really make it work. That is where I'm like, yo, these guys know what they're doing. Like they know their craft.
We're losing that today. Like bands don't. I think there's a lot of obviously I think the talent in music today is incredible, but there's not that part of it anymore. Like the originality and like fucking with your songs and like I don't know. It's just
you're right. Don't play it the same way I heard it on the album. Play it totally different. That's what I want.
I love when I go to a show and they play songs differently. It's I don't know. I guess it's just us because we're from the 90s.
Yeah, we're old.
we were like lucky to get bombarded with bands that just did that.
Speaking of that documentary, the Desert Sound one, wasn't there a guy on there who said he got so wasted he fell asleep in the middle of the desert and like woke up to a scorpion biting his ass or something?
I think so. Yeah, there was like that whole Scott Reeder, Caius, Fu Manchu, Queens of Stone Age. That whole sound is just so cool, right?
Yeah, that looks like the funnest thing. That looks like the funnest night of your life would be sitting in one of them studios and getting fucking wrecked.
Oh, or even like, dude, that pool that they used to play at, right? Sitting at a pool in the middle of the desert where Mitchell brings in a fucking a generator and you hook up the amps to it, and then we're just raging and drinking beer. Like that's kind of wild. But anyway, back to Incubus. So what else do we got, Tim?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask Mitchell this. Do you think this has like trip hop elements, this record?
Oh, 100%.
And I was listening to it. I was like, because you actually got me into like the Portishead and the PJ Harvey stuff. And, you know, I always did like the other band. I always forget the
Massive
name.
Attack.
Massive Attack.
Massive Attack.
But I think like I hear a lot of trip hop.
Tricky.
Yeah, I hear a lot of trip hop stuff in this record.
Trip hop and drum and bass. And that's probably why I fell in love with it when I was younger, because I'm a huge trip hop fan, drum and bass, even house music. I love all that type of shit. So I think when I was younger, I was really into that stuff too. And I'm pretty sure that's why this album was like instantly, I was like, I fuck with this. Because what's that one song? Magic Medicine is really just
that's
a drum and bass.
That's all drum and bass. Yeah.
They definitely. I'm trying to see where that is on here. What the hell? Oh, number 5, the 6, the instrumental. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
This stuff. I do see where a lot of people say that they don't really think this is a new metal record, but I do think that it resonates with new metal, especially with the time it came out.
I think.
Go on, Mitchell.
Sorry. I think the only reason why people have a solid argument to say it's not really new metal is because Brandon sings throughout the whole thing. He doesn't scream.
Yeah.
But if you listen to the music, and people are looking at it in to me at least, are looking at it in context of like what they think new metal is today. But like when we were young and new metal was still like you know, when did it happen? Like 90 what? 94?
It was 94 all the way through to like 2002.
Because people say like Korn, right, is like the originators. But if you really think about it, the first Korn record, and I said this on Twitter, so you might have seen it, Tim, but if you just take Frizzle Fry and Sail on the Seas of Cheese by Primus and make the bass parts, guitar parts, you have the first Korn album. And you're a joke, but what I want you to do is listen to the song.
You're right. I'll give it to you.
Too Many Puppies by Primus, right? The intro to that is the intro to Blind. And it came out a year and a half before Korn went into the studio.
So speaking of that, Mitchell, if you listen to the original, the intro riff to what is that? Scum Grief? Not Scum Grief. It's maybe is it Martyr? Fear Factory. Yeah. But you're right though. Primus was definitely proto new metal. That Seas of Cheese is a fucking amazing.
And that's where I was getting towards. So you have bands like Faith No More and Primus who are, to me, they pretty much influence like bands like Korn, besides like the obvious like death metal. Anyway, that's why I think this is a new metal record too, because it's heavy influenced by like the heavier parts of Primus. Clearly these guys rode the nutsack of Mike Patton, because
absolutely,
this record screams Mike Patton all over it. And to me, there wouldn't be new metal without him. To me,
Without Faith No More, you're absolutely
yeah,
right. You're
because
absolutely right.
they weren't afraid to experiment, and that showed bands that like more than just death metal. Like Korn was probably like, oh, I fuck with Faith No More, and look at what they're doing. They clearly, I'm gonna say, I will die on this hill. That band is Primus, so it's clear that they were like, let's be like a heavy version of Primus, and like take the ideas of Faith No More, and then boom, you have fucking new metal, and also clearly death metal, but. You know what I'm saying?
When did Epic come out?
Oh, that was 90. What was that, Mitchell? 91, 92?
I was too young for that.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right
I mean,
now.
I
Also,
remember
while you're
hearing
looking
that,
that up, another reason why I would say it's new metal is because a lot of the rhythm section, like
90.
the bass. Oh wow.
1990.
But like the bass and stuff that's like in the background, to me, a lot of that is very new metal. If you cranked it up a little bit more and made it a little bit heavier, you would have something like what Mudvayne was.
Yes, I mean, especially like Mitchell, when you look at like Idiot Box, where the riff in that song is really the turntable and the bass. That's all it is. Like the guitar is basically non-existent.
And this was in the time when, I mean, the 90s were great for this reason, where you could throw a lot of things together and it would be accepted. And obviously, because this is a record that has a lot of shit thrown together. But like I was saying, like how new metal was when we were growing up, it wasn't just heavy bands. Like now it's just heavy bands. People, when they say new metal, they're like Slipknot, you know, bands like that. But back then you had like bands like Snot, who to me weren't like that heavy.
They were punk rock band. Yeah.
Right. But like they were put into the new metal category, you know what I mean? I don't think this is any different. I don't think they were shooting for a new metal record because they never did it again. I just think this is what happened.
They got sucked in with everything else going on. I think this, and I think you would agree, Mitchell, the thing that sticks out to me about this album when you compare it to some of the other stuff that came out at the same time, new metal wise, is the musicianship. All of them are great musicians. Like the bassist, the drummer, the turntable as an instrument, not as just like filling in atmospherics and sound effects. Like it's a great put. Yes.
It's not just the DJ. Well, yes. I will say on this record, I think it like later in Incubus's career, their DJ was more like Deftones, where he was more atmospheric and adding more to it. I will say to this record though, this dude's a real fucking DJ. He's got like the scratching isn't like scratching for scratching's sake. It was just like an instrument, like what it was intended to be, what DJs really started the craft as. This guy uses it in these songs.
Yeah. Yep.
The DJ they have now is from Philly. I forget his fucking
Is he?
name.
He was in the Roots.
Yeah, he was. He was in the Roots.
That's kind of wild.
The bass player.
Yeah, it was the bass player. But then
the
keyboardist / DJ in Incubus now is from Philly.
There's another great band, the Roots.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Talk about a band that changes their songs up every set.
Again, arrangement. One of the best artists I've ever seen live. I'm lucky to have seen him because it was a last minute decision for the wife and I. Prince. We saw Prince at the Wells Fargo Center, and he played like it was his newest album. And this is like in like, I don't know, the middle aughts, right, Mitchell? But at one point, the band, takes their break and he comes out with an acoustic guitar and he plays a medley of all of his biggest hits. Little Red Corvette, Raspberry Beret. Amazing. He was absolutely like I was just sat there with my jaw on the floor. Like, holy shit. And then Aretha Franklin was in the audience.
Oh, no.
Or Patti LaBelle. I think it was Patti LaBelle. He brings her up on stage and she's singing with him. Like, it was wild, man. It was wild.
That's a real test of a musician too, because I bet they didn't even plan that. You know what I mean?
It didn't look like it. He walked over and was like, come on, and like got her on the stage.
I saw him once, like 98, 99. I could be wrong about the year, but he played the Electric Factory.
No shit, the Electric Factory.
They announced it like the day before. So it sold out really quick, but my friend on my block, his parents got him tickets somehow, but the dude didn't play till like 12 o'clock.
Oh, he doesn't go on to like late. I don't.
But he's incredible.
Yeah, he was a hell of a musician. So when this came out, Mitchell, were you a fan? Like, were you instantaneously like a fan? Like, yo, this is right in my wheelhouse. I'm in.
I'm not. No, because was I a fan of the record?
Incubus,
As
like when
the band,
Science,
no, I wasn't.
when
But the
Science
record,
came out and you heard it, were you like, yo, I'm in. This is it.
yeah, because I did listen to Primus and I did listen to Faith No More, who are two bands I'll bring up a lot tonight. So I apologize, but they both, you can tell, have their sound all over this record. But so when I heard it, I was like, oh, this sounds familiar, but it's different at the same time. It's just like wild. And so when they start, like, I guess them cranking up the distortion on the record, I was like, fuck, this is great. This is like perfect. This is like everything I like about music all in one fucking album.
Yeah, I think it was cohesive, and I think they're just great musicians. They use a turntable as an instrument. I'm a big fan of the bass. I think it's a true testament. Funny, I'm saying this to a bass player, but I think it's a true testament to how good a band is and how confident they are when they have the bass higher in the mix than buried. You know, because I came of age and Justice for All years where they basically threw out Newsted's entire track. But he's got talent. And I think I'm more impressed. I'm more impressed by bass players than I am by guitarists. No offense to Tosin Abasi, who I just think is absolutely fucking mind blowing. But I think the guys that know bass and can play it really well are impressive. And this guy, he nails it, and that carries the album, I think.
For the record, I'm not a bass player. I am a guitar player. I would never call myself a bass player when there's people like this guy and the dude from the Roots and the guy that from the Roots that replaced this guy and the current bass player of the Roots and Flea. I'm not, I'm just a dude that hits strings compared to those people like this. This is like, this whole record is like real talent.
I have a quote here. Darren Kerr of Drop D Magazine. I will not dispute similarities between Faith No More. Brandon, what? This makes no sense. I'm sorry.
I thought I was drunk.
No, that just whoever typed this, it makes no sense. Anyway, he said there's songs on this record that sound like caffeine and the general art of making enemies. Like he's saying that like Boyd was taking, like you guys said before, like vocal patterns and stuff from them for this
late
record.
stage
the song, song Nebula is actually from that song on Nebula, and the rest that's like a song that's track 10, and then the song after that and the song after that, and then it closes. But anyway, from that point on, they are Mr. Bungle, Faith No More.
Oh, yes. And
like
Nebula is the best song of this album, by the way. But we'll get to that. Yeah.
It's a great song, but oh my God, is it Mike Patton?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you didn't know this was Incubus and someone just put that song on, you'd be like, is Mike Patton on another fucking record? Like,
yep.
Like it's just crazy that and I read that Brandon was like a little annoyed that people were saying that about him him sounding like Mike Patton.
Here, I'm gonna read it in a way that makes sense. Drop D Magazine reviewer Darren Kerr praised the album's incorporation of turntablism and trip hop. Kerr also noted similarities between Faith No More, writing, I would not dispute that Brandon of the Jungle's evil lounge singer morphing into teeth gnashing machine vocal style is emulative of Mike Patton. There you go. Whoever wrote this did on the Wikipedia just didn't edit it, and I had to go back and cross out some shit.
It's Mike Patton to me.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
His vocals. But you could tell it's not just him though, because they also said they're big. They were listening to a lot of Radiohead, a lot of Bjork, a lot of like stuff like that, and you can hear all of that in their songs too. If you like if you listen to Bjork and you listen to Radiohead, you could hear it in this stuff. If you don't really listen to those groups, then you probably wouldn't hear it. But I think they all take their influences and throw them very heavy into this record.
100%. Tim, the rest of that review, I don't know if you dug into the last section of the review where he says, if we condemn Incubus for sounding somewhat like Faith No More, then we certainly must condemn Creed and Days of the New for sounding like Pearl Jam. We must condemn Jamiroquai for sounding like Stevie Wonder, and we must condemn Jewel for sounding like Satan. Indeed, we must condemn almost the entire music industry for sounding like itself. So everything is recursive. It's everybody just
like 19.
yeah. I still think it's a brilliant.
And how much of this record incorporates the Southern California thing as well?
Dude, how much pot, right?
Yeah.
Fungus among us, right? They were doing mushrooms and smoking pot and having a fucking blast. God bless.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing, Red Hot Chili Peppers. You can hear a lot of that in this.
Yes,
record,
the funk
True,
piece.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
that's a good
I
call
think
right
you hear
there.
the California in Brandon's vocals. I think more than anything. That's where I hear the
probably.
California is his.
So let me ask you this, Mitchell. Knowing what what Brandon has gone on to do, what Incubus has gone on to do, when you go back and listen to this album, can you hear it? Can you hear like the seeds of where they're gonna go?
I think in that song Idiot Box, you kind of can. Not like to the radio rock, but to the next two records. I think the song Idiot Box captures. It's like it's like a demo version of like those two records.
It sounds like 311 too.
I didn't. Excuse me. I had the same quote, but not for Idiot Box, for Summer Romance. I said that's where it hints at Brandon's future.
Summer Romance. Oh, did you? Here's the dude from Hubis thing played the horns on that, or the saxophone on that.
Yeah, I seen that, and I seen that in the liners.
I thought that was pretty interesting, even though that band sucks.
One of the most terribly named bands.
And they ripped off of fucking Refused.
I'll tell you what, though, the way that I don't really like the way that they paced the record track listing wise.
Really?
I think they put all the bangers in the front, and then it got kind of stale. It gets kind of stale for me. And then maybe has like one song that's really good, and then because the first like 5-6 tracks are just fucking banger after banger to me.
Yeah.
Like I think New Skin has one of the best riffs of all time. That chorus riff is fucking amazing.
Yeah, and the beginning of that reminds me. I think this came out before Roots, but it has like a Roots Sepultura type vibe in the beginning. Maybe it's just because of the bongos and stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, it's like a Rada Mahata.
Yeah, but even just the chug part too, like how it starts off, just the chugs.
See, I think there's some bangers buried in the second half.
I agree.
I think everything after the segue is where they kind of get a little loose, but I think they get a little loose in an interesting way, which really portends what came with Make Yourself. All right, so
favorite thing is the second half of the record.
Yep. No, that's a good track, but I think after that it gets kind of like eh.
Oh, Nebula's best song on the
There's
album.
only like 4 more songs.
So let's go track by track. We're going to start with track number 1, 3 minutes and 22 seconds, Redefine. So here we go. Trivia. This song was used in the trailer for the movie with Ryan Phillippe and Benicio del Toro, Juliette Lewis, Way of the Gun. They used this song.
Really?
Yes.
Wasn't this in Final Destination too, or was that Vitamin?
I think that was. I think that was Vitamin.
What didn't they was Spawn too, right?
They did something with Spawn.
But I didn't know that though. They what was it called? The Way of the Gun?
Way of the Gun, which is one of my favorite movies. Which is like Drive in the sense that it's terribly mismarketed. I think this is an amazing opener, right? The didgeridoo, like how it fades in atmospherically. I think it's brilliant.
Dude, yeah, I don't think there's any other part of the record it could go on.
No,
it has to be the opener.
I don't think any other song could open the record either.
No.
It's one of them songs that just makes you bang your head every fucking time you hear
it. When the turntable comes in, you just lose your mind. Yes.
In the first minute, you know where the album's going of that song of Redefine. The first minute, you're like, okay, this album's going to be wild.
Yeah, it starts out with the hit on the top of the cymbal, right? Ding, 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 ding. He hits the tented part of the cymbal. Yeah.
Oh, the bell.
Yeah, the bell. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Non-musician here. Yeah, the tenth part of the cymbal. But I mean,
that's how musicians talk when they're writing songs too.
Hit the tenth part. But like the bass, the scratching, the guitar, the and then the DJ matches it. I love that fucking song. I really do. And you're right, Mitchell. You put this on, you're getting up and you're like, all right, I'm ready to go. Let's start the fucking day. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great opener. I don't think, like you said, there's no other song I think on this record that could have opened this record.
No way.
Besides that one.
You know, I want to go back to something too. Like the first single for this record was what, A Certain Shade of Green. You would think that they would have did like Vitamin or something as the first single. Because I don't think that's a good lead off, but I mean, I guess it is because it did well for them. But
well, I will say this: every time I saw them live back in the day, they opened with A Certain Shade of Green. Ozfest '98.
It's the most digestible song on the record for someone that's not into heavy music or even like weird music. I think that, to me, playing it in my head right now, it seems like the most digestible for someone that's never heard of Incubus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say put it on, but we'll get fucking flagged in 38 countries for that.
The episode will be taken down before we publish it.
It's got a good hook. It's not too abrasive. It's not too crazy like the rest of the record. So I guess maybe that's why. Because like every song on this record, but that song has like a drum and bass breakdown. So imagine like you throw one of those songs on the radio. I don't think people are really gonna,
lose their minds
to it.
What was the second single?
So let's go to the second single was Redefine.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird, but all right. So the second track is 3 minutes and 13 seconds, Vitamin. This is the one. I don't remember this. It starts off with a guitar riff, right? And then the bass comes in. Boom, 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 boom. Is that this one?
Yeah. That's it.
Oh, I think this is as far as new metal goes, this is the perfect example of radio friendly yet heavy.
Yeah. That's another, but like Tim said, the first half of this is really strong. So
yes,
I mean, that is a great song. It's catchy. Every song they have on this record is catchy. That's what's crazy about this record, but that's a great song.
Yeah, and to your point, Mitchell, about being catchy, when Tim said we were doing this, I actually listened to this a couple times with headphones, and I forgot how full of a recording it is. Like when you listen to it in headphones, there's all these different instruments all coming in together, and they're all kind of balanced in the perfect way.
Yeah. I'm trying to go over that song in my head now too. It sucks we can't play this song.
You stare at me like
I'm that's a great hook.
Oh yeah. He writes and
that
to your
riff
point,
is great.
He writes hooks. Like they write some hooks.
And like some strange lyrics though.
This song is about like spiritual awakening.
Oh, okay.
Is what I read. Dude, it was so hard to find stuff about this record.
Anything in this stuff, it's late 90s. It's terrible because the internet was nascent. It wasn't there yet. And when you eat that many mushrooms, that's what happens. But no, this is, I mean, unreal. It's a great, and Tim and I have talked about our buddy Chris Cuzzy. The best way to tell if an album is good, as soon as next time you get a new CD, next time you pick up an album that you want to listen to, go right to the second track.
Oh yeah.
And if the second track isn't good, it's going to be terrible.
Well, because the first song's always going to be good.
Yes,
it's going to be. It's going to be the best representation of the band.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm with you. Back in our day, it was song 6. I feel like.
Right, there was the start of the second half.
That's
right when you flip the tape.
If that song was good, you knew the rest of the record was going to be good. I would always go to the 6th song on the CD when I got it, like no matter what. And I was like,
they get me thinking. What's the one that stands out for you, Mitchell?
What, like a 6th song?
Like 6 track? Yes.
Smashing Pumpkins, Siamese Dream. I mean,
what song is it? Yeah, like what album do you remember that when you flip the tape and you hit the first song and the second side?
I never really had to listen to tapes. I was like a CD kid.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm old. Shit, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, let's see here. Disarm.
So well, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. For me, funny you mentioned it, Mitchell. Far Beyond Driven. The first song on the second second side was Slaughtered.
I gotta be honest. I just became a Pantera fan.
Wow.
Dude,
Now
we
I'm
got to
look-
talk about that after this. Because I could talk about Pantera all night.
No, I like them a lot. Riff Central. But now I'm looking up like records from the 90s I really liked about what their sixth track was. I
But
don't
you're
wanna
right, though. The first track on the second side is the second half is where you know if
But I
They
guess
bar-
that makes
is
sense
filler?
because
Yeah.
your first song is supposed to be really good. So I guess when you flip the tape, it's supposed to be equally as good.
yeah,
You know what? I am very mad at you because now after this, I have to listen to Cherub Rock. God damn it, that's such a
Dude,
good record.
Me. I know this is a new metal podcast. So far,
Oh,
we haven't
whatever.
really talked any new metal. Siamese Dream is one of the greatest rock albums ever written.
It's so fucking good. I don't care.
I
what
mean,
anyone
I
says
know they
either.
catch a lot of slack because another band that was so good, and then it's just like, where did your songwriting go?
It
like,
is
what
so
happened?
fun. It is so fun to play along with too.
Oh yeah,
I love it.
it's a great record.
It made me want to buy a Strat because that's how fun it is to play. And then I looked at the one I wanted. I'm like, I'm not spending $1,200 on a
I don't
Strat.
want to look through it, but right behind me is my equipment stuff, and I actually just bought a Big Muff because of that's what they use on that one. He
okay.
just put out a pedal with Big Muff, where it's I forget the original Big Muff what the name of the original pedal was, but this one is supposed to be like what he used on that record. But that's why I bought it because it's like such a fuzzy, just like
Yeah.
nasty sounding like rock distortion.
So fun to play, man. I got a bar. I gotta
quiet.
fucking hear that EVH behind you, by the way.
the when I think of Smashing Pumpkins, you know what I think of? I think of Jelly Belly off Melancholy, because to me that should have been the opener. Oh yeah, I think that's
It's
amazing.
one of the best songs on that record.
And
It
it's
is good,
and
though.
for them, it's amazingly fast and aggressive, which they don't really replicate. Well, whatever. Let's get back to the fucking metal. All right, so track number 3. Everybody knows this song. This was 3 minutes and 51 seconds. This is New Skin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the highlight of the record for me. I love this track.
When I put up that post the other day on my Instagram asking what people's favorite song was, most of it was New Skin.
Really? Huh.
It's just great riffing, great drumming. It's just all around, I think, the best track on the record.
I just remember whenever I used to see them back in the late 90s, especially like Ozfest and whatnot. For this, Brandon would go off stage and come back with one of the bongos, on the belt in between his legs. And this is one of the bongo songs where they would kind of go nuts with it. But
is this the most new track on it too?
I would say so, because when I'm looking at the Spotify numbers. What do you think the most played song on this album is?
It's probably Vitamin.
Can you get the Spotify numbers of track by track?
Yes.
Oh wow.
So Mitchell, take a guess, and I'm going to give you a hint because Tim said it was. What did you think it was, Tim?
Vitamin.
I'm going to tell you it's not something I think you would expect. So what do you think the most played song on this album is?
On this album?
Yes, on Spotify.
Oh man. I would have said this too. Or I guess Idiot Box or Nebula.
Okay. The most played track on this album with 17 million streams, Summer Romance, the anti-gravity love song. Right? That's kind of wild.
But then I was like, I'm going to sound stupid for saying that because it's just a fucking weird song.
It's literally, this is a funk song, and this portends where Incubus goes in the next couple albums. Right?
Yeah. In my notes, I said this is a reggae beat track.
Yes. Yeah. So if Summer Romance is the most played, what do you think is number 2?
Yeah, back to that though. If you know that band Ballyhoo?
Who?
Ballyhoo? They're
No.
like a reggae ska-ish band. This is the track that they pretty much pull their sound from. Now that I think about it, Mitchell, you don't know Ballyhoo? Wow,
No.
I'll send you guys the record. It's a really fun record. But yeah. I can't make a point now that you guys never heard them. So
Well, now that you say that, I don't know what the second most. It would have to be another chill song because I guess Summer of Romance is more like the Incubus people know.
Yes. So the second most streamed song on this album with 14 million streams is not surprising, A Certain Shade of Green, which is their set opener. Yeah.
And I think that was the one that was also, I think that was in no, it was Vitamin. That was in Final Destination.
I think you're right. Yeah.
But the New Skin, that song is about that song's about like abs in that song.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in reference to like pretty much our world being really shitty. And then it was a reference to the Mayans were supposed, I think it was 2012 AD. He says in the song, that's when the Mayans predicted the end of the world
was going to end, right?
New start, like a new start, and that's where the scab comes from. That like the world looks really shitty, like a scab, you know what I mean? And then when the scab breaks off, or 2012 AD, when shit really pops off, a new beginning and a new clear slate, I guess, which I thought was interesting because a lot of his lyrics are deeper than I think I ever thought, because the songs are goofy, so I just assumed his lyrics were going to be kind of goofy too.
That's right. I originally would think,
yet he has something quasi intelligent and almost philosophical to say. Yeah.
Well, the whole record is like that. That's the one thing I noticed about this record, because I never really tried to think about what the songs were about until doing this. And he uses a lot of big words as well.
I'm going to go down the rabbit hole here, but the whole idea of, I've been doing a lot of reading lately on archaeopsychopharmacology, right? So the use of course, the idea of psychedelics and pharmacology to expand the brain, and the difference between your brain and your mind. And if you do a lot of mushrooms, a lot of this stuff makes a lot more sense, because the things like mushrooms and the things like LSD, right? We talk about, Tool talks about prying open your third eye, right?
Yeah.
There's a difference between your mind and your brain. And your brain is the physiological aspect of your mind. And the brain is there as an instrument to focus your mind. So when people have like ADHD, or when people have like, multiple personality disorder, whatever, it's their brain and their mind are not working in concert. So the thought is, when you take like a psychedelic, you turn off your brain, which allows your mind to expand. If you've ever done any like triune brain stuff, this is like, the lizard versus the mammal versus the human brain. If I was doing a lot of mushrooms, that's probably how my lyrics would come out, because you talk about opening your mind and opening your experience.
I've personally done lots of mushrooms, and it does open your mind, but it's some of that is me also thinking like, oh, of course, it's just, when people make fun of, oh, you're just saying something crazy because you're on drugs or whatever. That's kind of like,
right.
But right. I do think there is that is what it is. It opens up your mind to think a little bit deeper, a little bit, maybe differently, not deeper, but different. Because I do believe in weird stuff. I believe in, other dimensions.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's, not to go too much further into this rabbit hole, but I do believe that that's why mushrooms and certain natural drugs that maybe make you a little looser are illegal, because they don't want you to people are going to listen to this and go, all right, Joe Rogan.
But no, you mean there's a book, it's an Amazon bestseller called The Religion That With No Name, and it talks about the precursor to Christianity, where when they say wine in the Bible, they're not drinking fucking Sauvignon Blanc, like the stuff that we think of as wine. This was fermented mead, usually with psychotropics in it. So the ability to drink some wine and see God is not the craziest idea in the world if you're kind of whacked out of your mind. So there's a lot to, this is where Tim and I go into like the Rogan fucking tinfoil hat podcast, but there is a lot to be unpacked there. I think that, and we do it as a disservice to humanity to not look at this stuff.
I think mushrooms should be legal, and I do think they should be used as a form of medicine sometimes. And I think microdosing is good for people. So
I would do it in a heartbeat. Fuck it. Whatever.
know,
if
yeah,
nothing to lose.
have neither of you guys done mushrooms before?
No.
I never have, but I've done a lot of fucking acid.
Okay, well, it's
lot.
definitely different than acid.
Yeah.
I think
Uh,
anything that
I think anything natural, everyone should try.
yes, anything that occurs in nature, right? Like I'm not gonna go to Mitchell. Maybe you and I we should take New Breed on the road. We'll go to Brooklyn and we'll do an ayahuasca trip with like a bunch of like Brooklyn housewives.
I do
How
wanna
wild
try-
would that be?
I do want to try it, so
I would do it. I mean, aside from the throwing up for 4 hours, it sounds like a pretty wild trip. And we'll have
Well,
Tim bring the camera. And
Yeah, I was literally just gonna say I will come and film it and be sober.
and it'll be the fucking episode that week, and then we all get canceled. All right, moving us along. Track number 4, 4 minutes 7 seconds. The Idiot Box. So Mitchell brought up S.C.I.E.N.C.E before. It's kind of funny how this is two different bands, both from California, both have a song about the TV. Because
Is that what
S.C.I.E.N.C.E
this
had
is
the
about?
box. Well, S.C.I.E.N.C E had the box. TV, Incubus has the Idiot Box. And it's my note here is holy shit, we're 4 songs in and we have 4 singles in a row. That was my note here.
Yeah, you're 100% dead on
Yeah.
that. Some of the best riffing is in this song right here.
Yes.
Yep.
If
Yeah.
and Mitchell will understand this. If you listen to the chorus riffing in this and the intro riffing, how many hardcore bands ripped off these chords?
Yeah. Well,
Like you go listen to Bury Alive's record and you're like, oh, there's some Incubus riffing in there. Like
Yo.
hardcore kids would probably fucking kill me for that. But if you listen to it, it's the same fucking, what is it called? A triad or some shit. It's the same shit.
It doesn't matter, man. At some point, all of our hardcore gods were teenagers that listened to music they would like,
Yes.
that they were influenced by that they would never admit. And this Incubus is like a band like that for me. Like they influenced me in what I write. I mean, Nick Faraska from A Life Once Lost, he played bass for A Life Once Lost.
Yeah.
We started a band because of this record.
No shit.
Like, yeah. We had a DJ, one practice. It was just one practice. And then we started an actual band. But I'm sure he wouldn't admit that when like A Life Once Lost was popular. Maybe he would. I don't know. 'Cause he's a pretty cool dude. He might admit it. But you know what I'm saying? Like some people aren't going to admit that they listen to this stuff to get what cool kids deem amazing.
That's what we
If
said.
that makes sense.
That's what we said to Cody the other night. I said, don't even pretend you didn't listen to fucking Korn.
And he's like, yo, I
Sean-
fucking love Linkin
Sean,
Park. Yeah.
Sean was like, I still listen
Linkin
to Korn.
Park's great. You shouldn't be embarrassed. I mean,
No, not at all.
you cannot like it now, but when you were younger, you shouldn't deny the fact that you did enjoy it when you were younger.
Oh yeah,
Right.
I like Korn more now than I did when I was younger.
me too.
I think
I'm
get
30
it now.
fucking 8. Yeah.
I'm 39 and I think I understand it way more than I did. Because when it came out, it was like the young skate, angsty type of music. But like when I listen to it now, I'm like, wow, there are some fucking riffs, man. Like really legit, well-written riffs on this record.
Dude,
Thanks to
absolutely.
Primus.
Thanks to Primus. So let's go to track number 5. I want to know you guys' thoughts on this. 3 minutes, 37 seconds, Glass. This is the song that, while I think it's good, I fast forward it every time.
This is a funk track to me.
Yeah, but this
Mitchell?
is where I think it shows some of the new metal stuff that I think makes this record new metal with the guitar leads.
Yeah. This has
Very-
another great chorus.
Very like high guitar leads that are like Korn. You know what I mean? Like when I don't even know, like Blind type of lead, where it's high but it's good. I don't know how to explain it. It's just when I hear, especially in this song, there's a guitar lead. I guess it is in the chorus where I'm like, oh, this is the new metal. This is new metal.
Yeah,
Yes.
The way
absolutely.
this is.
Yeah, the chorus. See, and I always say this, and Jay will be like, "Here we go again." I just think you can't have a good band unless you can write good choruses.
Yes.
No, you're right.
No,
Yes.
I just always thought that. Like, if you can't write a good chorus, you can't be in a band.
If you can't, honestly, the best new metal bands actually write good songs. That's the thing, right? Like for all these like second, third, fourth tier bands that did new metal, if you don't write good songs, you're gonna be forgotten.
Yeah,
I mean,
a lot of people forget about how good of a pre-chorus can make your song or a bridge
Yes.
part, or you know what I mean.
I'm
And
not a-
these bands do that.
I'm not a huge Slipknot fan or System of a Down fan. Sorry, Adam. I think that band sucks.
Me too. I hate them.
But they write good songs. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't have to like the songs, but I'm
you can
very
appreciate
aware that
it. You
they're
can appreciate it.
they know what they're doing. They know how to write a song.
Yeah, I mean it's Ace Ventura metal, but I do get.
I say System of a Down is the mall metal version of Dead Kennedys.
I'll take that. I think you're right.
The dude rips off the Jello so hard. Like the way he sings and does that weird Jello just does it better, I guess.
What was Tim's banana terracotta pie? Banana terracotta. Yeah. Yeah. Hey.
I wanted to call in when I was listening to that podcast just to be like, dude, everyone needs to stop like kidding themselves. This band sucks. Like, because like someone told me like you really got to listen to these records, so I did, and you know there was some decent stuff in it, but overall I was like I still don't understand why this band is that popular.
Yeah, me either.
Same thing with like Slipknot to me.
That was the most flattering thing anybody could ever say to you and I, because you know it's a sign of a good podcast when you're listening and you're yelling at the fucking radio. And the fact that Mitchell was driving around yelling at the radio saying, I want to call in. I think we did something right there.
And it's great because when I do have this conversation about Slipknot and System of a Down with younger kids, they're like, well, you just don't understand. It's for younger kids. I'm like, no, actually, these records came out when I was a teenager. And like, if there's anyone that should get it, it's my generation. And like, I don't get it. It's Slipknot's another, but that's what I was saying. Slipknot's another one. I don't think they're that good, but they obviously can write a song.
I had this logic about Slipknot and I got crucified for it, and I'll do it real quick. I think that all of their songs are based off the same riff structure, and I think they just switch up the tempo of it, and they just write a song. And I think people that's why people love Slipknot, because it's basically the same song over and over and over.
Yeah, AC/DC style.
Exactly. To me, the exact shit over and over.
I remember the first
fucking COVID aftermath.
The fucking COVID. So like, you can't have a podcast.
Yeah, COVID after effects. Here we go.
On the new metal gods.
Yeah, right. The new metal gods are gonna strike me dead. I think that first Slipknot album was absolutely fucking mind-blowing because it was so different than when it came out. It was different than everything else, right? And you're right, maybe questionable. The second one, they built on the first one, Ross Robinson again, just as fucking nuts. But then they introduced like Left Behind and some of the other stuff where you could tell they were going to go more radio friendly. After that, they really become almost like I hate to say a pantomime, but a pantomime of themselves.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I think the worst thing that people are going to crucify me for this, but I think the worst thing that ever happened to Slipknot was Stone Sour.
But they were before Slipknot.
Well, it was before Slipknot, but he did 2 Slipknot albums, and then he did Stone Sour, and I think he has trouble. I think Corey has trouble drawing that hard line to say my crazy aggro meth out shit goes here. I want to be on the radio and play K-Rock goes here. And I think that line got so blurred that the third album was it was blast beats and like weird kind of like, you know.
I think he kind of realized he was a great singer at that point, though, because you can't take that from him. He's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
They're all good at what they do.
Yeah.
Dude, there's no one that can bang a keg of beer the way that dude can. You know,
with a baseball bat. The baseball bat.
No,
yeah, I mean, and Joey, you know, he's an incredible drummer.
Oh, to watch those live vids of him, he had timing. He was a tiny little dude and he was all over the place.
It wasn't until he passed away and everyone kept posting videos of him, and then I went into a deep dive. That's when I could like really appreciate him as a drummer, because he was fucking crazy. Yeah. And I wish I appreciated him when he was around, and maybe I would have liked Slipknot even more. Anyway, my biggest pet peeve with both System and Slipknot is their singers. I think they're both musically pretty good, but both singers also do know how to write a hook. And you know, that's why.
Tell me Chop Suey doesn't have a hook, right? Like,
which one's that? Oh, Wake Up.
Wake up.
Not that one.
Little syllable, wake up. Yeah.
There you go. That's your show.
Did you ever seen that video on YouTube where every time he says wake up, they increase it by like 2%?
Yeah.
Oh my, I love those things. I lose my mind. All right, back to Incubus. So let's go to track number 6. This is the segue. It's 3 minutes and 3 seconds. Magic Medicine. Mitchell
Love it.
said early, this is the drum and bass track.
Yeah, I love it. I think it is also a great track to set up the next song. So,
Tim, thoughts?
I skip it every time.
You're not a segue guy, which takes us to
this might be why you don't like the second half.
yep.
Probably.
Which takes us to track number 7, A Certain Shade of Green, 3 minutes and 11 seconds. This to me, whenever I think Incubus, is the first thing I think of because they always open with this. Every time I saw them, this is what they open with.
Oh,
And
this is what they had
it's
the
a-
video for too.
It's a great song.
It is
right?
a good song.
It definitely keeps the pace. It definitely brings the pace back up, but then I think it just goes way down after this.
Dude, I don't agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised, but I don't know. I'm not really a fan of that drum and bass stuff. Like I can deal with it here and there, but like
I'm not even talking about the drum and bass song. I think the second half of the record can stand on its own compared to the first half.
So let's go from there. So we go from A Certain Shade of Green, right, which is the most streamed, second most streamed track, 14 million, and then we go into Favorite Things.
I mean,
right?
this is a great song.
This is a great song. It starts off with a very fast pace, right, and they're moving, but then I mean, what's the chorus? A few favorite things, yeah, like this is another single. And who buries the singles on the B side?
That's I think it's crazy that Tim says the second half isn't that good because it's just like that's a banger. Then Summer, which I can get, you don't think is a banger, but it's good. Just the second half of this record, I think, picks up great. And Favorite Thing has some of the best guitar work on the whole record.
Yes. What do you think, Tim?
Well, I will admit though, when I was younger listening to this record, I would always, after Glass, I would pretty much turn it off because I always, like I said in the beginning, I thought the beginning of the first 5-6 tracks were just banger after banger. And I think when I got to that point, I was just like, all right, I'm good now. And then I would like put on like Linkin Park or some shit. But like when I did go back, because I did listen to this record like 5 times this week. I don't hate the end of the record, but I think it just bores me to the point where I don't have to hear it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the first 5
It's
tracks, though, I
understandable.
can listen to constantly. I think they're all good. See, I'm a big guy with guitar. I think that the riffing in this is just top-notch shit for me.
That's why I think it's interesting that you don't, because I think so far, Certain Shade of Green and Favorite Things, I think, are heavy on the riff.
Yeah. I do like the riffing in Certain Shade of Green, but I don't agree with the single one. I don't think that should have been the lead off. But
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right about that.
So if
But
you
I
had to pick a
mean-
lead off, Tim, what would you have picked?
If I had to do a lead off, it would probably be Vitamin.
Which
Okay.
I guess
Mitchell?
I would agree, but to me, I think that was like looking back. I guess Favorite Things. No, A Certain Shade of Green was the one with the video. Which one was the first single? Which one did you say?
Certain
it was?
Shade.
Certain Shade.
Yeah, okay, because I do remember that because it was like a live footage video.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. But I think if you're into heavy music that is still hooky, Vitamin is the perfect single.
Absolutely.
I think Vitamin, if they put out Vitamin, they still would have been the same band they are now. You know, they still would have blown up the way they did.
Yeah, because it has the part where like it's just a kick drum hitting, and they're doing that up tempo thing where it like goes up and then it comes down. It comes,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And
I
then
mean,
they blast you with a chorus. I think
It
that's
was
the
a
lead off for
single,
me.
so I mean, it could have
Yeah.
been it was like the third. It had to have been because it was on soundtrack. That soundtrack.
It
a few years later.
Certain Shade of Green was September 97. Redefine as a promo was 97. And then New Skin was late September 98.
See that I don't like those two as a single though.
A
That's-
year
that's
later,
interesting.
Yes, a year later.
You got to
Wow.
remember this album was like, to put in context, a lot like the Vane record, where it did really well in the underground. So, it took longer for like to catch on in the mainstream. So like a year later makes sense to me. You know what I mean? Because I've read that they sold 100,000 records without radio play or TV play.
That's kind of wild.
So that's probably the first year right there. And then the record label was probably like, oh shit, we have something we didn't expect to have. So let's put out, don't go into the studio just yet. Let's put out another single.
Right. Let's knock another single off it. Yeah.
Well, well, yeah. Now that you say that, it makes sense because back then they used to produce CD singles. Like you would go into like a wall or something, and they would just have. Remember the really thin jewel cases, and it would just be like one
Yeah.
single with like a remix.
Yeah. CD single. Yeah.
Yeah, so they did do that a lot. So that kind of does make sense.
And they
And
also
remember,
built bands up. They didn't like this was technically their first record, at least on a major label, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So back then they also major labels also built their bands up. They gave them a little bit of time to like build 1 or 2 years before they
Right.
put out
So-
another record.
Think about it this way. September 97, the album comes out, right? They play Ozfest 98. Then they play the Family Values Tour. So they got a couple of years out of that album. And then they didn't release, I don't think they released Make Yourself until like 99,
Yeah,
fall of
99.
99.
Yeah.
So they
has-
got 2 major tours off of one album.
I think they even got more than that, honestly, because they toured. Did you already say they toured with System of a Down?
No, but they were the opener with System and Ultraspank, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they toured with Korn too, The Urge.
My brother saw that. It was System, Ultraspank, and Incubus at the Birch Hill in Jersey.
They also did a tour with Sugar Ray, who at that time was fucking huge.
Sugar Ray,
Yeah,
that first album, Lemonade and Brown,
first
is
album's
new metal,
great.
and nobody
Yeah.
wants to ever talk about it. But
even some of that album that came after that, the one where they're all
With
in the
Fly?
pool or whatever. Yeah, with Fly. That
what
has
was the
some
name
new
of that
metal
album?
in it.
Shit, I don't remember.
Floored, I think.
Yeah, it was
Floored,
Floored.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe I remember that because I do not like that band.
That's the band you
That
hear when
has
you're
some
getting
new
your hair
metal
cut.
stuff. Yeah.
At like quick cuts or whatever. Yeah.
Super cuts, yeah.
Super cuts. There we go. All right. So let's move ahead to we did Certain Shade of Green. Yes. So favorite things. Did we do that?
Yeah.
311?
We did that, which I forgot to say lyrically, that's about everything he really enjoyed because he was like into religion at the time, and everything he enjoyed was like against the religion. So all the lyrics are basically about that all of his favorite things are like a sin to the religion that he was following.
No shit. That's
Mhm.
kind of wild. So after favorite things, we go into the most streamed song on the album, Summer Romance, Anti-Gravity Love Song. I think this is what do I have here? I have my notes is a funk song, new metal ? This hints of Incubus and Brandon's future.
Yeah.
It shows where they're going.
And this
yeah,
is the one
that's
with
a-
the guy
that's
from
great.
Who Was Think.
I'm going to throw out a random trivia question to you, Mitchell. For Sugar Ray, Lemonade and Brownies, who was the girl on the cover? Do you remember?
No.
Nicole Eggert.
Who's that?
She was from Baywatch, and she was an 80s actress. She was in a questionable movie with the Coreys,
see
which was
her.
like a
Yeah,
Skinamax movie. Yeah.
I'm looking at a picture of her now. I do know who she is. She was a babe back then.
Back in the day, yes.
But that makes sense because the dude from Sugar Ray is that his name, right? Sugar Ray.
Yes. It's Mark McGrath. Yeah.
Oh, whatever. He's Sugar Ray. He's a good-looking guy, so it makes sense that
If I look like
He
Mark
could-
McGrath, I would never get married. We'll just leave it at that. Yep. Okay, so we
You look
did
like Brandon Boyd, you don't get married either.
no,
Yeah,
no.
you don't.
If you're even remotely good looking, don't get married.
You- I started to dislike Incubus because every fucking girl thought he was hot, and I was like, "Fuck this." That means that band sucks now. I was just jealous, obviously, but
Yeah,
Dude,
he's
when
like
I went to
he's
go
just a
s-
hippie now.
when I went to go see that, did you guys go to the Deftones show they did a couple years ago together?
Then they
No.
played the tower. In like
Yeah.
90s.
No, it was,
I saw Deftones Incubus
BT.
Taproot at the Tower. That I saw.
Oh yeah, no, this was Incubus and Deftones. It was only like 4 years ago. Was that the BTT Pavilion or whatever?
Oh yeah. You're right.
Oh,
you're right.
anyway, Deftones played. It was all like dudes, and then Incubus played, and it was pretty much just women. And I
Just
stayed
vagina
because of
everywhere.
that for a little bit, but then it was like really bad, so I left. I was actually surprised because I was like, I thought they were going to be at least put on a good show, but they didn't.
It's a shame. That's a shame. So now we're gonna go to track number 10, the best song on the album. As far as I'm concerned, 3 minutes and 50 seconds, Nebula.
Yeah, I love this
I
song.
fucking love this song. It's all over the place. It's frenetic, right? The drumming is kind of nuts, and then DJ comes in, and then the bass comes in, and it's almost like a mosh riff,
Dude,
like, and then there's
Mr.
a
Bungle.
breakdown. Yes, it's Mr. Bungle.
A Mr.
Yes.
Bungle. Like, if they're, and I'm not saying that just because, like, it's legit a Mr. Bungle song, which is probably why I really enjoy it more now than I did when I was younger.
Yes, yes.
I'm gonna put it on my Apple Music. I'm gonna mute and listen to it because I want to see why you think this is the best song. So go ahead and talk.
It's the most interesting song. Like, I think it's a great song, but it's definitely interesting. Damn, I'm jealous that he's listening to it.
It's kind of, well, I like hardcore, I like metal. So there's a breakdown. There's giant jangly guitar parts. I mean, it just makes total sense. Coming off of Nebula, though, we go to Deep Inside. What do you think of Deep Inside, Mitchell? My notes are this is lounge music.
Oh yeah, it is. I like it. It's chill. I think it shows off how talented they really are, especially the bass player, and the drummer, and which I think we haven't talked about enough on any of these songs is their drummer is incredible.
Oh, he is amazing. He's a jazz drummer.
He's a secret to me. I call him secret, like, good drummers, like Abe from Deftones. If you listen to him and you don't know much, you're just like, okay, whatever. But if you really tear apart what they do, what they're playing and shit, you're like, holy shit, these guys are fucking excellent drummers.
Groove machines, man.
They he gets in the exactly pocket where they need to be. They don't, show off too much. And this drummer, I don't know the guy's name for Incubus, but he's a great drummer.
It's Jose Padillas, I think. But you're right, Mitchell, comparing him to like Abe Cunningham, because both those guys sit in the pocket. They're not flashy. Several times they do some fun snare fills or some rolls, but for the most part, they drive the backbone of that band in a way that is solid.
I will die on this hill, and I think I even said it in the podcast we did before the Deftones one. Deftones would not be Deftones without Abe.
You're 100% right.
100%. 100%.
And he doesn't get enough credit. You know what I mean?
We definitely talked about this, and you're 100% right.
But yes, this drummer, would you say his name was for
Jose Padillas? I think
he's a great drummer. He shows off just enough, and I think this song,
Jose Padillas. There we go. Here we go.
I think this shows off the bass and the drum talent very well.
Yeah,
because it's not like hidden in the songs. Like all the other songs show it off, but it's like in the middle and kind of hidden. And I don't know. It's just like you're not really paying attention to it. This one, it's just like front and center, like boom.
Yeah,
these guys are fucking awesome.
Yep. Just listen to the track. I don't know. It does nothing for me. Jay's like, he's fucking stunned, but these last three tracks do nothing for me.
But Tim, we've already established that you and I have completely alternate tastes in some stuff. Okay, so we talked about Nebula, we talked about Deep Inside. Let's wrap it up with Calgon, which is actually 16 minutes. There's a song, and then there's the segue at the end. What are you guys' notes on this?
Oh, is it one song?
There's a song, and then there's a break. So
if
you listen to it on CD, it's all one track.
All one track. Yeah,
it's a song, and then there's a break, silence, and then there's like samples, and then it kind of gets nuts. What are your thoughts?
I like the song, the segue, and I guess, is that what it's called on Spotify too, right? Segue.
Yep.
I could care less about that, but I don't think they wrote that for us to care about anyway.
No, that was definitely fun. The thing that always jumps out about me with the segue is the one point towards the end where they go, "The Karate Kid." He goes, "What the fuck, Mr. Miyagi? I paint your house, I wash your fence." Like I
would not go through today's world.
No,
especially
not acceptable.
They are doing that voice.
Not acceptable.
When I heard it today, I cringed. I was like, "Oh my god, how this would not survive today's world?
Not even close."
There's a lot of stuff that ain't surviving today's world.
There's a few things on this record that they say like this. You know how there's a few clips on this record of them in the studio kind of busting each other's balls.
Yep.
kind of hidden throughout the record, that would not fly today.
Yeah. But I think Calgon is a nice way to close the album, right? Because
Yeah,
it
it's a
wraps up
riffer.
all the funk stuff and there's some riffing to it. And then just the hidden track. I mean, remember, this is the late 90s. Everybody did a hidden track. Dry Kill Logic did one. Everybody did one. And not everybody. Okay, so let me ask you this. I'm going to start with you, Tim, and then I'm going to do you, Mitchell. In your recollection, what is the best hidden track you've ever heard? What is the best hidden track or late track on the album where you're like, and it doesn't have to be new metal because my answer isn't new metal, where you're like, yo, this seals the album?
Fuck, man. I
got
have
you.
no clue, dude. I couldn't even answer that.
What do you got, Mitchell?
Suck by 9 Inch Nails.
I literally fucking had that in my head, but that's on Broken, right?
Yep.
Yes.
The only reason I didn't say it is because I didn't want to sound like an asshole and say that. But that's up there. But I couldn't answer that, man.
My calls are going to be two, right? So the first one I've got is at the end of Remembering Never, Women and Children Die First, right? The last track is Serenading This Dead Horse. And after the track ends, there's like 4 minutes of silence and they do Far Beyond Driven by Pantera. So Mean Pete doing Pantera.
I did no clue that even existed.
It's fucking awesome. It's awesome. That and Full Blown Chaos Within the Grasp of Titans. The last song, I think it's called The Voorhees Complex. There's 3 minutes of silence, and then they go into Blood from their EP, and it is the heaviest song they've ever done. I want to grab Ray Mazzola by his beard and swing him around like a trebuchet and just kill people. Like that's how insane the ending of that album is. The close second to me, and this is going to be super fucking obscure, the band from North Carolina who did Posse Christian Hardcore Choose Your Weapon, the end of their EP, they cover Chaos AD, and it's fucking a banger.
Holy shit, I haven't heard that band in a long time.
Yeah,
I haven't heard that name.
I go back into the well.
What an interesting cover for them to do, being a Christian band.
Yes.
I think if you go to Astro Creep 2000, they have like a part that like swings back in. It's not really a song, but it's so fucking heavy. Go back and listen to that too, because that's one of them tracks that does it for me. But I can't really think of anything other.
I miss the days of. I mean, you can't. I guess you really can't do a secret track nowadays because no one's really buying CDs.
Exactly. No. Yeah. I just
what was
You're right. Serenading This Dead Horse is 15 minutes long. I'm gonna have to go listen to that after this.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I'll pull it up. If we're gonna get YouTube whacked, let's get YouTube whacked.
Let's not get whacked. Let's wait till after. Let's not get whacked.
Oh, you're no fun, Tim.
I don't want to get whacked.
All right. So final thoughts, gents, on S.C.I.E.N.C.E.
I'll go first. I think that this record.
Oh, sorry.
No. I think this holds up very well for what it is. I think that, like Mitchell said in the beginning, maybe it didn't sell as much as I thought it would, is because of the way Fungus Among Us sounded. And it does generally, after this record, appeal to women, I guess, and to a rock and roll radio crowd. But other than that, I think 20 years from now, you could go back and listen to this record and be like, yeah, it holds up still. That's basically all I have to say.
Mitchell?
I agree everything he said. I mean, I think, again, it's just another record that holds up better today to me than it did when I was younger.
Because you appreciate the musicianship in it now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think that says a lot. I don't listen to it in with nostalgic ears. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I listen to it and I'm like, holy shit, this is really good. It's just, it could come out today and I'd be like, wow, this is fucking awesome.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. This is one of those where I go back and listen to it, not from like you said, Mitchell, not from nostalgia, because I really do appreciate how good of an album it is. Like, it's a band, nobody is as hungry as their first album, and this really kind of nails where they were going, and everywhere they've been since makes sense.
So if you had to go out of 10, what do you say, Jay?
I don't know if I can give it a 10 because that's kind of crazy. I would probably give it a 9. The detractors, I will say, is there are a couple songs I fast forward through because I just think they don't jump out. but it still retains the 9 because it's experimental enough. There's funk, there's soul, there's lounge, there's jazz, there's new metal, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I don't think I could think of any other band off the top of my head that combines so many genres so well, so smoothly that it makes it sound cohesive.
Yeah, I'd give it a 7.
Yeah, I'd give it like an 8 or 9.
All right. So we're all pretty much in the same land. Awesome. So let's take us home. So Mitchell, once again, thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure. We look forward to having you join us again. On behalf
Tell everywhere where you can find your band.
Yeah, where can we find your stuff, Mitchell?
You can find Grace on Spotify. Until we get this fixed, if you do want to check us out, just type in Grace Self and then the record will come out, because obviously there's a million people with the same name, Grace. And so
I think you can write NJHC in there too.
and that too,
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
yeah, that EP is great though. So go check that out, people. Seriously.
Thank you.
It really is, man. I think it's a lot different than what people are putting out now.
It's
around
good
here, and
no, I like it. It's different.
Good.
Yeah.
It's just
same thing with Gloves Off. I just think they're
Yeah.
one of them bands that just does it better than all the locals. Sorry, all the locals, but they just do.
Well, Gloves Off definitely deserves a lot more than what they're getting right now. But I think the new record is really going to help them out
I
to
think so.
get where they deserve to be.
Yeah,
Definitely.
agreed.
Shout out
Agreed.
to Cody.
And what
All
else?
right.
And are you doing anything else?
No, not anything worth like mentioning. Not yet, at least. But Grace is just we're writing right now, so just check out that EP. We're gonna go into the studio in a couple, I think next month, and just to do a song or two. Just keep people's ears open on us instead of dying out. But
How about you guys do a Fire at Night? Is it Fire at Night by Caliban? Or what's that song called? It's on Vent.
That's not one of my favorite albums. I only like the new metal one.
I mean, really, the only Caliban I think holds up is the Heaven Shall Burn split.
What?
So, yeah.
You don't
Oh,
think
wow.
Small Boy is good?
That's
Hold
a
on a second.
hot
Kill
take.
this episode. Kill this episode.
Small Boy's good for
Kill
with
this episode. We got to talk.
with nostalgic years, but yeah. What were you just saying?
Kill this episode and we'll talk after.
All right,
Okay.
we'll finish it. The opposite from within is the only
Great
good
record.
Caliban album. So on behalf of Tim, myself, we want to thank Mitchell for joining us again. This has been a great
Thanks for
time. On
having
behalf
me.
of Mitchell, myself, and Tim, we want to thank everybody for listening, watching, tuning in once again. Find us on Instagram, Twitter, find the group on Facebook, find us on New Metal Reddit. We're all over the place. We're doing hoodies soon. So if you're interested, let us know. So until next time, this is Tim and Jay and Mitchell saying cheers.
Later.
See ya.